Hey there, y'all. It's Miss Campbell, and I'm going to kind of go through quickly here our notes that I would like for you guys to go through. I'm going to be back tomorrow, so we're going to be able to go through these again and do some practice problems together. So just try to get what you can, and then we'll go from there. So first thing, vocabulary, expression, okay? If you have one or more terms separated by a plus or a minus sign, that means there's no equal sign. So everything that we've been dealing with like prior to this, so the combining like terms and distributive property, those have been expressions. Okay, so an example would be like 2x minus 8 plus 4y. That would be an example of an expression because there's no equal sign. Okay, an equation is two expressions that are separated by an equal sign. So 3x minus 8 equals 15, that would be an equation. Okay, and then just to review, a variable is your letter that represents an unknown number. Okay, so like the X, Y, Z, whatever letter's in there, that's your variable. And then a constant is a regular number with no variable attached to it. So for example, here in my equation, 3x minus 8 equals 15, negative 8 is a constant, and 15 is a constant because they're just plain numbers. All right, now to solve equations, okay, we have to do opposite operations. So inverse means opposite. Okay, so what's the opposite of addition? Subtraction. What's the opposite of subtraction? Addition. And then what is the opposite of multiplication? Well, that would be division. I'm just going to shorthand here. And then what's the opposite of division? Multiplication. So you're always looking for the operations that have been done in an equation. And in order to solve it, you're going to be doing the opposite of it. Okay, I'm not going to worry so much about this part right here. We're going to go on to the instructions for solving an equation. All right, so step one, you have to look at your equation and you have to make sure that it's completely simplified. So you have to do any distributive property and combining like terms first before we get started. Then the next part is that you're going to make sure all of your variables are on the same side together, and then you're going to move all of your constants to the other side of the equal sign, and then your last step is always going to be either multiplying or dividing. So we're going to start off with some quick examples here. Our first example, we have x plus 5 equals 17. Our goal is always to end up with x equals some number. So we always have to kind of think here, how can we get the x term alone? So in this one, remember this is 1x, right? Okay. I want you to pretend this 1x, the 1 and the x, they're like a couple. Okay, they are right next to each other. They go together all the time. This plus 5 is like their friend that's with them, right? Okay, do they necessarily want their friend, the plus 5, tagging along on the date? No. So they're going to say to him, okay, we're going to go do this, but they're going to tell him the opposite, right? To get them to go away. So what's the opposite of plus 5? Minus 5. So they're going to tell him we're going to do minus 5, and we're going to do minus 5 on both sides because we have to be equal because this is an equation, okay? Whatever you do on one side, you do to the other. So to get rid of the plus 5, they said minus 5, okay? And we do that on both sides. So now the plus 5 and the minus 5, that's going to be 0, okay? 0. And so we just have 1x. Bring down your equals. And then 17 minus 5 is 12. So we end up with x equals 12 because remember, 1x is really just x. So x equals 12. All right, next example here. Again, you want to keep the x where it is and move any of the friends that are on the same side as it to the others, because basically anything with an x in it, you pretend like those are like couples, Anything that's just a constant, those are like singles. So couples stay with couples and singles stay with singles. So we need to move this -7. So again, we have to do the opposite. So what is the opposite of -7? +7. So if we do +7 on this side, we got to do +7 on the other side. I'm sorry for my shaky camera work here, but I'm trying. So now the -7 or the -7 and the +7, those cancel, they make 0, okay? So this is like 0, but we don't write it. And all we have left over there is x. And then we have 10 plus 7, so that would be 17. Okay, and you can always check your work by going and plugging this number that you got in for the x variable. So I could check, I would do -7 plus 17 equals 10. And so I would calculate this. Okay, -7 plus 17, that's 10. And is 10 equal to 10? Yes, so you know you did it right. So you can check it. All right, next example here, example C. We have 20 equals 5x, right? Okay, so there's no extra friends added on over here, so we don't have to add or subtract anything this time. But now our couple has run into a problem. Right now, they are together, yes? But they had a fight, and now they're going to break up. So what happens when you're breaking up a relationship? You are dividing it. So remember, x wants to be by itself, okay? It wants to be by itself. So how do we get rid of this 5? Right now, 5x means 5 times x, right? So we do the opposite. We said we're going to divide. So the opposite of multiplying by 5 is going to be divide by 5. So divide by 5 on both sides. So essentially, whenever you're down to this last step, so you have like, when you have like 5x on its own, and then you have a number here on its own, whenever you're trying to get rid of the number directly in front of the x, you're going to be dividing here. Okay, so we're dividing by 5, dividing by 5. So 20 divided by 5 is 4, and 5x divided by 5, the 5's cancel each other out, and you just have x. So x is 4. And again, if you wanted to check it out, 20 equals 5, and instead of x, you put a pair of parentheses, because 5x means 5 times x, right? And we said that x was 4. So 20 equals, and then what is 5 times 4? 20. Is 20 equal to 20? Yes. So you did it correctly. Okay, so those were all one-step equations. Now we're going to get into two-step equations here. Or, well, we have one more one-step, I'm sorry. So now here again, look, we have -3x equals 18. We just have our little couple here, and now, you know, it's terrible. They're going to break up, so to break it up, we have to divide them. So we're dividing, and you're always dividing by the number that's in front. And I'm dividing by -3, because what's in front of the x? -3. So those cancel. Then we have x. And then in your calculator, just do 18 divided by -3, and that would be -6. Okay. All right, now, two-step equations here. This is, again, where the whole couple thing comes in. So, we have got over here, we've got 5 minus 9w equals 23, right? Remember, whenever you see the plus sign or the minus sign, draw your line like directly in front of it. So we have our single over here, the 5, and then we have our couple, the -9w, yes? Okay, the -9 and the w are the couple because they're directly next to each other. So we need to get this single to the other side with the other single over here, 23. So right now it's +5, yes? So how do you get rid of a +5? With the opposite, which is -5. So we're going to subtract 5 on both sides. So 5 minus 5, those are 0, so they're gone away over there. And we have this -9w left over. And then you have to go over here and do 23 minus 5. So 23 minus 5 would be 18. And then now again, our couple, they're going to break up again because w wants to be all by itself. That's the whole goal. W wants to be alone, or whatever your variable is. So we have to divide. So you divide by the number in front, which is -9. And so now, again, in your calculator, I want you to do 18 divided by -9, and you'll find that W is equal to -2. Okay. Now our next part, this deals with fractions. Okay. Again, we've got our little group of friends over here. We have our couple, the 3/4 m, but then we also have the single over here, the -2, the -2. Remember, we want all the singles to go to the other side with the other singles, okay? So how do we get rid of -2? With +2. And so, again, the -2 and the +2, those make 0, so they're not going to show up over here anymore. And we have 3/4 m equals, and then over here we have 1 + 2, so that's 3. Okay. And then now, again, the couple is going to be divided. So what number is in front of m? 3/4. Yes, it's a fraction. It doesn't matter. Just divide and then put 3/4 here. And then over here on the other side of the equal sign, we're going to divide. And what number are we dividing by? 3/4. Okay. So now in your calculator, you're going to use the fact that it can do fractions for you. So 3/4, we're dividing by 3/4, those cancel out. So all you have is m. Okay, and then now, like I said, we're going to go on our calculator. Okay, and we just go on the scratch pad here. And so we're going to do, what do we have over here? We had 3, right? We had 3, and we are trying to divide that by 3/4. So we're going to put 3, and I'm going to put divide. And then now I'm going to put the fraction. So remember, do control divide. Okay, control divide, and that's going to get your fraction. And then just put your fraction in. 3, and then press the down arrow. 4, and then press your right arrow so you get out of the bottom of the fraction. And then press enter. And so now you can see we have 3 divided, and on the bottom we have 3/4, and that gave us 4. So we now know that m is equal to 4. So there you go. Sorry, having to move to see where I'm writing. Okay, so that's 1- and 2-step equations. I'm going to make another quick video on our other notes of solving multi-step equations. And then we're going to continue to work on that on Thursday. And then Friday is going to be a review.